The Los Angeles Lakers have been trying to acquire Kyrie Irving, it seems like, for months now, right? Kyrie Irving wants to go to Lakers. Lakers want Kyrie Irving. LeBron wants Kyrie. It's a match made in heaven, right? Up until this point, the Lakers have been very reluctant on the 2 first-round picks. A lot of that had to do with LeBron James, right? We need a commitment for LeBron. We're not going to give up everything we have, and then you end up walking away and leaving, and we as the Lakers organization are now screwed. You know, our hands are tied. We have no future assets, and you leave. Well, LeBron James decided to give his commitment and signed that 2-year extension. So the reports came out that the Lakers are willing to give up the 2 first-round picks now, which makes sense because now you got LeBron. The one reason you didn't want to give up the 2 firsts, well, now that's gone. Well, according to reports from Mark Stein earlier today, that the Lakers offered Russell Westbrook and 2 first-round picks, the 2027, 2029, the 2 picks that they are available to trade for Kyrie Irving, and the Brooklyn Nets rejected it. Now, we don't know if the picks were protected or unprotected. That could obviously be a factor. At the end of the day, it's great to see the Lakers starting to make that push, right? Because they were so reluctant about those 2 first-round picks. But the Lakers aren't just going to throw out their best package immediately, right? It's a negotiation. You weren't willing to give up the 2 first before. You're willing to do it now. You're not going to say, oh, here's everything. You're going to say, oh, here's, we'll give you 2 firsts, but the 27th pick is protected, or, the 29 pick is protected. And then the Nets go, no, absolutely not. Based on the reports, the Nets steadfastly rejected that pitch, which was, again, the Russell Westbrook and the 2 first-round picks. But it goes back to my point. One, we know Brooklyn doesn't really want Russell Westbrook, especially as long as Kevin Durant's on the team. So I don't think Russell Westbrook gets traded to the Nets if Kevin Durant's on the team. Now, depending on what ends up happening and where Kevin Durant ends up going, if he is to be traded, something along those lines, then maybe they'd be willing to take on Westbrook. It just depends on what direction are they going. Do they need that cap space? Move off of Joe Harris, stuff like that. Now, it doesn't say what pieces or if there were any negotiations or anything like that. But once again, you go in there, you say, hey, we're willing to give up the 2 firsts. That's great. Yeah, the 2 firsts, we want one of them protected. No, absolutely not. We want them both unprotected. And we want you to take, Joe Harris. Okay, well, we'll take Joe Harris, but then, one of the picks is protected, and then you start having those conversations, that dialogue back and forth. I'm excited that we're seeing at least the dialogue. Whether the Nets rejected it or not, it's still the dialogue. It's still the conversation. It didn't say that the Nets don't want to trade Kyrie. They just said that they're not willing to take on Westbrook and those 2 firsts because they don't want Westbrook currently. Now, you could figure out a third team, and it's always a hot and cold gauge. Let's throw out an offer. Let's see if they even answer the call. Let's see if they even are willing to entertain us. There's a big difference. And it goes into the reports, right? We hear these conflicting reports constantly of Kyrie and Kevin Durant, they're not going to be traded. Okay, well, they are going to be traded. The Nets have came out and said, the Nets haven't said anything. I can't tell you how many comments I've seen of people where it's like, the Nets said that the Nets haven't said anything. Nobody said anything. The only thing we got are people relaying reports who no one has been right yet. Not one person has given a report that has been accurate. And on top of that, all of the people that have been giving the reports, Mark Stein, Woj, Shams, all of them, they've all every day are giving an opposite report. Nobody knows what is going on. The one thing that I am pretty confident in is that Russell Westbrook likely isn't going to the Nets. But that was kind of always the conversation, right? The conversation was always we don't want Russell Westbrook, so it has to be a third team. That's where the Hornets and the Spurs and these other teams started to get into the picture. So this report isn't a new report. The only thing that's new about it is that the Lakers are willing to give up both firsts because the Lakers didn't want to give up both of the first-round picks because of LeBron. So now I imagine what ends up happening is the Lakers now explore potential 3-team trades. The Indiana deal, if that's potentially on the table, they'll trade both first-round picks if it means getting Kyrie Irving. So if the Pacers are willing to trade Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, right, for both the first round picks. If you can do that and turn a Miles Turner into a Kyrie Irving, you're still trading both firsts for Kyrie Irving. The only thing is now you got Buddy Hield and Kyrie Irving. I'm not saying that that's going to end up happening, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. That, or you find a team that wants, a couple seconds or just wants to move off some salary or something. Because now that the Lakers have the commitment, right? They have the commitment from LeBron James. The Lakers can now start to take on salary. They can now take on a Joe Harris or, maybe take on a bad Spurs contract, but it's a solid role guy, right? So maybe they can unload Westbrook, get Kyrie Irving, take on, one of the lesser guys, maybe give up okay, well now we're clearing your cap space. So now you don't get 2 firsts, or you don't get a first round pick. We'll give you 2 seconds and we'll take that bad contract on. Brooklyn, we'll give you the 2 firsts. And we get Kyrie Irving. And then, the Spurs, they have the salary space to just kind of absorb that. Oh, maybe something like that happens. The options are there now. And now I imagine the Lakers, and this is what I was talking about yesterday. Get ready for reports of the Lakers beginning to be more aggressive. And the Lakers having conversations, not with just the Nets, but the Pacers and these other teams. Because now they have the commitment from LeBron James. That was the biggest concern. That was the number one concern, was the commitment from LeBron. Is LeBron going to stay? Because we don't want to mortgage our future and you're not here. And then, now we're in big trouble. Now we got some bad salaries. Yeah, maybe we got Kyrie Irving, but now Kyrie Irving doesn't want to be here and he leaves us in free agency because you're not here, and it could become a total disaster. Well, now it's time to start exploring potential trades. And we hear the reports of, hey, LeBron's putting pressure on the Lakers still to go get Kyrie Irving. He wants the Lakers to still get Kyrie Irving. And now we're hearing the report, Kyrie Irving, the Lakers made a push for Kyrie. Again, you're not going to give your best package. You're not going to give everything in. It even had a highlight part of hey, both of these picks, we don't know if they were protected or unprotected. That could be a huge factor. If they go to the Nets and they say, hey, would you take Russell Westbrook and both first, top 10 protected? And they're both of course the Nets are going to be absolutely not. Click. Of course it's going to be, steadfastly an answer of no. Because, it's not a real conversation. And they know that. So then you approach it again. Okay, well, what if we take Joe Harris? No, we still want it. Okay, click. Okay, well, what about Joe Harris? And, and we'll give you one of the first protected. We'll give you the 27 pick unprotected, and we'll give you the 29 pick protected. Nope, click. And then finally, it's okay, well, we'll take Joe Harris. We'll give you the 2 first. Tell you what, we'll even throw you in a second. Okay, boom, done deal. That's usually how these trade conversations go. And I expect there's going to be a lot of reports of various, Lakers offered this now. Lakers offered this now. The Nets and the Lakers talked about this now. Now, whether a deal gets done or not, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But this is exactly what I thought would happen. The Lakers have unlocked that second first round pick and is willing to potentially give it up. So let's do that. Problem is, the Nets, they do not want Russell Westbrook. So now you got to figure out a third team. So now the Lakers got to figure out, okay, Brooklyn, what is it going to take? Kyrie Irving is clearly still on the table. Because if he wasn't on the table, the Lakers wouldn't be making false offers. The Lakers aren't going to make offers unless they think he's still available. At least the Nets are entertaining the idea of trading Kyrie Irving, because otherwise there would be no conversations. And nobody has came out and said the deal is dead, that Kyrie is staying. The Nets haven't said anything. The Lakers haven't said anything. There's been no reports. There's nothing that the Nets have said Kyrie is off the table. And, you hear stuff that says, oh, well, the Nets, they don't want to trade these two. Of course they don't. They haven't wanted to trade Kyrie and KD since the beginning. But guess what? Now we're in a different conversation. Now we're in a different time. And you hear the report yesterday, oh, they still don't want to trade. The deals are off. And then today we hear that the deal was, presented and the Nets rejected it. Yeah, of course. Because it's a negotiation process. I'm not saying that this deal is going to get done. I'm just saying that this is the steps. First domino was LeBron. Second domino was start the negotiations, start the conversations. You always throw out your worst offer. I mean, look at all the reports with the Nets. The Nets hit up the Celtics. We want Brown and Tatum for Kevin Durant. Click. Okay, well, we'll take Brown and Marcus Smart. Click. Okay, well, Brown, Derek White, 5 first-round picks. Click. It's the same thing. You never go into a negotiation and give your best offer immediately. No, you try to work it out and then you try to find a place in the middle somewhere. I still think it's gonna get done. I think we're still 6 weeks away or whatever from training camp and the start of the season, so they still have time. And I do imagine there's gonna be a little back and forth. I think the Lakers will probably explore 3-team deals and stuff. And I just think the fact that the Lakers are now willing to give up the second pick because they got LeBron locked up, I think is going to change a lot. But I don't think Brooklyn is going to want Westbrook. I don't think it's the Nets hunt up because of the picks. I think what they hunt up because they don't want Westbrook. Or they said, hey, we don't want this deal because of Westbrook. That's what I think it is. I don't think it has anything to do with the actual picks. The Nets, I believe, want the picks. But you gotta inch, walk or crawl before you walk type thing. And so I do imagine that this will end up being what I've been saying for the last 2 months, which it'll be probably 1 first, maybe something like a THT, and the Lakers get back Kyrie Irving and Joe Harris, and then Russell Westbrook goes to like the Spurs or something like that. Or it's going to be the 3-team option where it's going to end up being the Pacers, the Lakers, and the Nets, where the Lakers get Buddy Hield and Kyrie, and then the Nets end up getting Miles Turner, and then there you go. Everyone's happy. The Indiana Pacers take on Westbrook, buy him out, and all is right in the world again. That's what I think will end up happening. And the Lakers very likely might be able to get away with only 1 first. And I think that that's what they're trying to do. I think that that's why you see the reports of they don't want to trade both first to the Pacers for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, because I think that they are trying to leverage it to where it's okay, if we can do 1 first and maybe 2 or 3 picks, second round picks, or a first and maybe a THT, and get Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, then we could take Miles Turner and a first, and that should be more than enough to get Kyrie Irving. That's what I think they're trying to do. But we'll see. We'll see how this all develops. We'll see how it all breaks down. I still am in the same boat that I have been. I still think it's a matter of when, not if, Kyrie Irving ends up getting traded. Like I said, if Kyrie was really off the table and there were no, the Nets did not have any intentions whatsoever to trade Kyrie Irving, we would know it. Why haven't the Nets just came out and said, hey, regardless of what happens to Kevin Durant, we are not trading Kyrie Irving. That'd be over with. How come Kyrie Irving hasn't came out as outspoken as Kyrie Irving is? You're telling me he's what? He's not afraid to come out? I mean, his agent had an entire press conference about the situation that's going on. And not one time did she say, oh, I want, Kyrie Irving wants to stay with the Nets. That was a conversation that was not even brought to the table. It was all about how he doesn't hate anybody. So they had a perfect opportunity for the whole Kyrie Irving is not going to Lakers, get over it possibility. And it never happened. But anyway, that's the news and updates and my opinions. And as always, I pass the question on to you. Let me know yours down in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you think Kyrie is still going to be a Laker? Do you think he's not? Do you think it makes sense. They don't want Westbrook. This isn't new information. This is something we've known that they don't want Westbrook. You got to start somewhere in conversations and negotiations. However you feel about it, again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.